$14, 2 plates of eggs, 1 sentence, and a 30-year friendship gone. Not with a fight, not with a door slammed shut, just 7 words at a diner booth on a Thursday afternoon. I thought you were getting this one. In 2025, a survey of 2,000 American adults found that 36%, more than 1 in 3, had lost a friendship over money. Not over a business deal, not over a lawsuit, over a dinner check, a split coffee, a moment where the bill sat on the table a second too long, and something cracked that couldn't be put back together. 69% said they'd turned down a social invitation, not because they didn't want to go, but because of the cost. And 39% never told the friend why. They just stopped showing up. If you've ever sat across from someone you've known for decades and felt something heavy land between you that had nothing to do with the food, stay with me today. And if this feels like a conversation worth having, I'd appreciate a like or a subscribe. Let's start. 5 things people say when the check arrives and what those words really mean, plus 2 truths no one talks about. Type 1. The assumed wallet. Every other Friday. Same Italian restaurant on a quiet street. Same booth by the window. Same glass of red wine to begin. And for almost 15 years, the same woman reached for the check. Nobody asked her to. There was no agreement, no discussion, no rotating system. It just happened, the way small habits do. She paid once, then again, and somewhere along the way, it became the arrangement nobody questioned. She told herself she didn't mind, she could afford it, $30, $40 a person, and she liked the feeling. There's a specific kind of warmth in being the one who covers the table. You see your friends relax, you see them put their wallets away and smile. That warmth carried her for years. But here's what psychologists know about warmth. It has a half-life. They call it hedonic adaptation. When something good happens often enough, the brain stops registering it. It becomes neutral, expected, invisible. What starts as "thank you so much" becomes "oh, you got it," becomes silence. And silence over enough Fridays becomes entitlement. The night it changed was ordinary. One of the friends ordered a second bottle of wine for the table, didn't ask, just flagged the waiter, and looked across and said, "You don't mind, right? It's not like it's your last dollar." She was joking, probably, but something closed. Not anger, something quieter than anger. The realization that her generosity had become furniture. Nobody thanks the chair for being there. A woman on Reddit once wrote, and I'm paraphrasing, "I used to pay for everyone happily. Then one day a friend got annoyed that I asked for my share on a group trip. He said his other wealthy friend always picks up the tab. And I realized I wasn't their friend anymore. I was their budget. The next dinner, she said 5 words. Let's do separate checks tonight." One friend smiled, one looked confused, and one never came back. That one sentence did what 15 years of silence couldn't. It told the truth, and the truth sorted the room. Generosity without gratitude doesn't stay generosity. It becomes a subscription someone forgot they signed up for, and the moment you cancel, you find out who was there for you and who was there for the service. Type 2. The penny splitter. He was known as the fair one. Every meal, every coffee, every shared cab, he had the number before the receipt printed. I had the soup. That's $9. You had the steak? That's $22. Don't forget your iced tea. That's $3.50. He'd say it with a half smile, like he was doing everyone a favor. And at first, people respected it. He's just precise, they said. At least you know where you stand. But precision has a temperature, and over time people started to feel it. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. A friend forgot his wallet. It happens. Everyone's done it. Another friend offered to cover him. "Don't worry about it, get me next time." But the precise one interrupted. "If you're going to transfer it, it's $11.50. Make sure there's no fee on your end." The table went quiet. Not because $11.50 was a lot of money, but because the air changed. The math was right. the warmth was gone. A 2025 survey found that 33% of Americans changed how they see a friend because of that friend's spending habits, and 13% judged a friend specifically for being too frugal, not too reckless, too careful. Sometimes the person who never loses a dollar is the one who loses the room. In his book, Give and Take, researcher Adam Grant divides people into three types: givers, who contribute without tracking; matchers, who keep a quiet balance; and takers, who always end up ahead. The precise one looked like a matcher. But when every cent is counted and every ounce of generosity is weighed, you're not matching. You're keeping score, and scorekeepers eat alone. Here's a line I want you to sit with. An accurate person is not always a safe person. Sometimes the friend who's never wrong about the numbers is the one who's most wrong about the room. Type 3, the mirror. Now, before we go any further, I want to pause, because the first two types are easy to spot. They're other people. The assumed wallet, the penny splitter. You probably already have faces in mind, but this next one requires something harder: a mirror. On a retirement forum, someone once wrote, "It is extremely difficult, if not exhausting, to maintain friendships in retirement. Some people see differences as a threat, while others see it as something to examine. Jealousy outlives us all." 460 people upvoted that post. 346 commented. It struck a nerve, not because it described someone else, but because it described the space between people, the invisible ledger we all carry. Have you ever kept track, even silently, of how many times you paid? Have you ever thought, "I got it last time, so they should get it this time," and felt a flicker of resentment when they didn't? That ledger doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a human person. But if you never look at it, it starts making decisions for you. Jonathan Haidt, the social psychologist, wrote, "Reciprocity is a deep instinct. It is the basic currency of social life. We're wired to track fairness. It's not a flaw. It's how we survived. But in friendship, survival math can quietly replace trust. And once that happens, every dinner starts to feel like a negotiation." The question isn't whether you keep a ledger. Everyone does. The question is whether the ledger is running the friendship, or the friendship is running the ledger. One woman in a retirement community wrote something that stopped me. She said, "I have absolutely weeded people out of my life who have shown bitterness that my circumstances are better than theirs. I'm not comparing. They are. But that's their personality, and at this point it's never going to change. That's not cruelty. That's clarity." Type 4, the late reacher. This one is the most common, and the most exhausting, because it doesn't look like a problem. It looks like bad timing. She always paid first, not because she wanted to, but because she was always faster. By the time the check arrived, her card was already out. And every single time, the same friend would say the same 7 words. "Oh, you already paid? I was going to." Once you believe it, twice, you give the benefit of the doubt. But by the 10th time, by the 20th time, you start to realize, if she was really going to pay, she would have had her wallet out before the check arrived. The timing isn't bad. It's perfect. Perfectly calculated to arrive 1 second too late. Psychologists have a name for this: moral licensing. It means giving yourself credit for an intention you never acted on. I was going to donate. I meant to call. I was about to pick up the check. The intention becomes the alibi, and the alibi becomes permanent. On a Reddit thread about splitting bills, someone wrote, "As a general rule, if someone expects me to cover something in a way that feels like they are entitled to it, that's the last time I ever spend a dime on them." That comment got 47 upvotes. Not because it was harsh, because it was honest. So she tried something different. The next time they went out, she left her wallet in her purse. She didn't reach. She didn't move. She just waited. The check sat on the table for 4 full minutes. 4 minutes of silence. And then her friend finally said, "I guess I'll get this one?" Like it was a question. like generosity needed permission. That 4-minute pause told her more than 30 years of friendship ever did. People don't remember who paid. They remember how it felt. And the feeling of being the one who always reaches first, while someone else always reaches second, isn't generosity. It's choreography. And it only works if one person agrees to always dance first. Type 5. The empty chair. This last type doesn't say the wrong thing when the check arrives. This person doesn't say anything at all, because they're not there anymore. She spent 9 days in a hospital room with a friend who had surgery. 9 days of bringing homemade food, adjusting pillows, driving 30 minutes each way after her own errands were done. She never counted the hours. She never mentioned it. That's just what you do. 2 years later, she was the one in the hospital. The night before her own surgery, she sent a short text to that same friend. "I'm going in tomorrow, a little scared." The reply came quickly, one line. "Oh no, I'm so busy this week. Let's grab lunch when you're out though." She told someone afterward, and this is the part that stayed with me. It wasn't the words. It was realizing that everything I gave her was just an event in her life, not a relationship. An event. Something that happened once and didn't carry forward. That sentence, that realization, that's the one that doesn't heal fast. Psychologists call this compassion fatigue, but it's more than fatigue. It's asymmetry. One person invests with their whole chest. The other person receives it like weather. It comes, it goes, they don't think about it again. And the gap between those two experiences is where 30-year friendships go to die quietly. An AARP study from 2026 found that 95% of adults say friends are essential to a happy and healthy life. But in the same study, adults reported having fewer close friends than 5 years ago. And nearly half said making new friends is harder with age. We know friendship matters. We're just not sure how to protect it. This is the hardest type to deal with because there's no villain. There's no argument to have. There's just a door that closes slowly, so slowly you don't hear the latch. And by the time you notice, it's already locked. The check doesn't split the bill. It splits the silence. It tells you who's paying attention and who stopped a long time ago. Now, the two truths. Truth number 1, the guilt tipper. There's a kind of person who never underpays, but always overpays in the wrong direction. They leave a 40% tip on a $20 meal. They insist on paying for everyone's dessert. They wave off any attempt to split, and it feels generous, until you realize it's not generosity. It's guilt wearing a nice coat. The guilt tipper pays too much because something in the relationship is off, and money is the easiest patch. They know they forgot your birthday. They know they canceled 3 times in a row. They know they weren't there when you needed them. So they throw cash at the gap and hope you don't notice. Brené Brown once wrote, "Generosity, to assume the best about people, is almost an inherently selfish act, because the life you change first is your own. Real generosity doesn't need a receipt. Guilt always does." If someone around your table is always the most generous with money but the least generous with time, pay attention. The wallet might be open, but the door might be closing. Truth number 2, the temperature. Every relationship has a temperature. You can't see it, but you can feel it. It's the difference between walking into a room and feeling welcome, and walking into a room and feeling watched. And here's what the check reveals. It doesn't measure money, it measures temperature. The friend who says, "I've got this," and means it, that's warm. The friend who says, "I've got this," and remembers it for 3 months, that's cold. The friend who never says it at all but shows up at your hospital bed at midnight, that's the warmest person you'll ever know, and they probably never picked up a check in their life. Someone in a retirement forum wrote, "My friends were work colleagues and clients. I thought, once I retired, it was all gone." It was a double grief process. A double grief. For the person and for the version of yourself who believed it would last. That's not failure. That's just the temperature finally being read out loud. So, where does that leave us? 5 types? 2 truths, and one question that matters more than any of them. What temperature are you carrying to the table? I want to leave you with a book. Brené Brown's Rising Strong. There's a chapter where she asks a deceptively simple question. Do you believe that people are doing the best they can? She found that the most compassionate people she interviewed were also the ones with the firmest boundaries, not softer, firmer, because they had decided to believe the best and protect themselves when the best wasn't enough. That's not cold, that's wisdom. 2 quotes from the book that I keep coming back to. Generosity, to assume the best about people, is almost an inherently selfish act, because the life you change first is your own. And boundaries are not walls. They're the bridge that makes genuine connection possible. If you've been the one who always pays, the one who always shows up, the one who always reaches first, maybe the most generous thing you can do next isn't picking up the check. Maybe it's setting it down and seeing who reaches back. People don't remember who paid. They remember how it felt. The friend who's worth keeping isn't the one who always picks up the check, or the one who never does. It's the one who makes you forget the check was ever there. Because the meal was that good, because the company was that warm, because for 1 hour on a Thursday afternoon nobody was counting. Thank you for staying with me today. If this reached you, if there's someone you thought of while listening, maybe send it to them. Or maybe just call them. Not about money, not about who owes what. Just to say, I'm glad you're still at my table. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.